How about this, faithful? Everybody grab some sage and light it up tonight and just, we need to get the juju out of there. Welcome back to the Richard Sherman Podcast. It's week 3, and wow, what a week for the Seattle Seahawks. They blew out the New Orleans Saints. I mean, this game was over in the first half, might have been over in the first quarter. Torrey Horton, the rookie, steal of the draft, had an incredible 95-yard punt return, had another touchdown, receiving off a dime from Sam Darnold, and then the San Francisco 49ers, so banged up, injury after injury. They may have lost Nicholas John Bosa for a substantial amount of time. Let's hope not, fingers crossed, but it's still unknown right now. But they found a way to get the win, 15-16 for the San Francisco 49ers. And then, I mean, what else can you ask for in this day and age and what's going on? The Cowboys? What? The Cowboys get beat 31-14 by the Bears, and it wasn't even that close. Everybody, Jerry Jones said, "Oh, don't worry, Micah Parsons, we got what we needed. We're going to be so good. We're not even worried about that." You look bad. You look bad. The Bears got Mitchell. You guys beat the Bears 52 to a little bit last week. What happened?
Richard, there's a lot to talk about here, but I tell you what, it's a good day to be Richard Sherman. You know what I mean? The Seattle Seahawks absolutely demolished the New Orleans Saints, and then you get your 49ers squeaking off a very crucial division victory, overcoming quite a bit of adversity in that game. Let's start in Seattle. Let's start where you're at, Richard. In Seattle, I mean, I think coming into this game, everyone expected the Seattle Seahawks to take care of business, but I don't know if they expected them to take care of business in this fashion, because this was an old-fashioned ass-whooping, Richard. 44-13, scoring 38 points in the first half, and like you said, the breakout rookie, Torrey Horton, really showed out today. Richard, what are your thoughts on this Seattle Seahawks team? 2-1. It's a big deal. They're staying competitive in this division, and like we talked about going into this season, you have high hopes for Seattle. You have a lot of high hopes for this team, and they're showing as to why.
They're doing exactly what I thought they would do, and I got a really good feeling about next week too, and I'll be there, Arizona, Glendale, on a Thursday night. Every Thursday night, we're going to let them know. Well, I'm going to let you know this. The Seattle Seahawks look good, Mitchell. 95-yard punt return by Torrey Horton. There was another kick return for about 68 yards. Torrey Horton had another touchdown. He got 3 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. Huge impact. The one concern I kind of had in this game, the run game was non-existent. The Saints did a really good job shutting down the run game. Kenneth Walker had 2 touchdowns in the game, but he only had 16 carries for 38 yards. That's a little bit concerning. Another thing that was kind of an issue for me is JSN was on his way to being what I believe is the first Seahawks receiver to have 3 consecutive 100-yard games to start the season, and we leave him off with 5 catches for 96 yards. We couldn't get him 4 yards. Sam Darnold was a very efficient 14-18 for 218 and 2 touchdowns, but we couldn't get him 4 yards. I needed them to get him 4 yards, Mitchell. I wanted to see that. JSN is having an incredible start to this season. And then let's flip it around to the defense. The Seattle Seahawks defense continues to play incredibly well. That D-line, that ferocious D-line, there was nowhere to go with the football for Spencer Rattler. They put a lot of pressure on him. Byron Murphy with yet another sack. He's at 2.5 for the season. Leonard Williams gets a half. It's a great defense to watch. They're so sound. They give up no yards. They get off the field. Obviously, the offense took their foot off the gas in the second half. They were just in cruise control. Let's get out of here safe. We got a Thursday night game, short week, so I'm sure they want to just keep the guys healthy. Hey, save the legs that we can to make it as good. That's as good as it could be for a short week. Get the starters out early after a great game. A guy I want to talk about is Josh Jobe. Josh Jobe is playing his butt off, Mitchell. When they lost Devin Witherspoon, who's a big-time playmaker, a big-time player for him, for an extended amount of time, I wasn't sure how it would go for him. And all they've done is show the amount of depth that they have. And Josh Jobe has earned the starting spot. I mean, the only way you can earn it, Mitchell, is on that field and keep balling and playing at a high level, and he has done that every single game this season. Another guy, another corner who's part of the depth, who's benefited from a little bit of the injury bug, and the guys that are down at corner is Darion Kendrick, who had his second interception of the season. The guy is always around the ball. He could have had 2 last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He got his hands on one this week to deflect it, then gets an interception in the game. This defense has so much depth in the secondary. Kobe Bryant, there were numerous other opportunities that the ball got tipped up in the air. I thought Kobe Bryant was going to come down with one, but this defense is just playing fast. They're really sound. They're flying all over the place. They're playing with confidence. They're trusting one another. There were so many big plays in CenturyLink, and I'm just excited to see CenturyLink booming and rocking and the guys having fun. You're seeing guys getting their boogie on. Mitchell, I love it. I love it. I know how it can get when things get going in Century. Oh, I keep saying CenturyLink.
It's Lumen now, Richard. You're aging yourself.
It's Lumen
Come on,
Field.
man.
Oh, I'm aging myself. Well, it's hard for me to change the name until something else is won in there. Mitchell,
Fair
we
point.
won something when it was called CenturyLink. So it's until they winning something in there while it's called Lumen Field, it's hard for me to just for my brain to trigger Lumen Field. But this defense is illuminating. Sam Darnold is illuminating. I mean, and then Kenneth Walker gets to eat. He gets his 2 touchdowns, but I just want to see a little bit more. I want to see a little bit more from the offense. I know we went into cruise control, but we got to open those holes back up because you got the Arizona Cardinals next week, and they're coming off a really tough game against the Seattle Seahawks. And they have a pretty good run-stopping defense. Calais Campbell is playing great in year 18, and then on the other side, they have a huge loss to their offense. They lose running back James Conner for it looked like a very serious knee injury. I haven't gotten that checked. I haven't been able to confirm what the injury is, but it does not look like he'd be able to play Thursday. He wasn't able to finish the game. Then you look at Marvin Harrison Jr. He isn't hurt, but he had some critical drops in the game against the San Francisco 49ers. There's some vulnerability there. I didn't think Kyler Murray played the greatest game. I thought he missed some guys, some wide open plays that could have helped his team win the football game. So I think this is ripe for the Seattle Seahawks to walk in there and get a win in Glendale. I'm going to get to sit on that desk after the game, Mitchell, and I'm going to get to say what I need to say. Seahawks are 3-1 and are contending in the NFC. I can't wait. I know that K9 is going to factor in. I know Sam Darnold's going to have a great game. I know JSN is going to put on another 100-yard show. But it's the defense that I'm excited to watch. Mitchell, I cannot wait.
You're in for a show, Richard. You got to love going down to Phoenix on Thursday Night Football. I know you enjoyed that cross-country flight to Buffalo last week, but this one's a little bit easier on you, my man. And like you said, I like the Seattle Seahawks team and the way their roster is constructed. They've got a very young, hungry core defensively, and a lot of roster depth, like you said. Kenneth Walker can do more. I know he had 2 touchdowns today, but reality is, this guy, they got to give him the ball and continue to pound the rock because he's not getting, the 80-plus yard games. He needs to do that, and this team can really, truly be competitive. But you see how much faith they had coming into this season with JSN when they let DK Metcalf go, and now you're showing as to why. JSN is a rising star in this league. He gives the Seattle Seahawks a dynamic weapon that can play all over the field. You got to love what you're seeing in Seattle. But like you said, this matchup on Thursday night is going to make or break, the near-term perspective of this division. If they're able to go 3-1 and knock off a division foe and the Arizona Cardinals and keep, up with those San Francisco 49ers, which, as you mentioned, are dealing with some injury adversity right now, Seattle is firmly in the mix for this division. And I mean, what is your prediction for Thursday night? I know your bias, your Seattle lean might show itself, but objectively speaking, Richard, what is your prediction for Thursday night against the Arizona Cardinals?
Well, the Arizona Cardinals were only able to put up a measly 15 points against the San Francisco 49ers defense that lost Nicholas John Bosa early in the game. And it really was only 13 against the defense because the offense got a safety on that holding call. So I just don't see I see a healthy Seattle Seahawks defense having a great game. This is a short week, a short game planning week for the Arizona Cardinals to prepare. a short game planning week for the Seattle Seahawks, but I know that Mike McDaniel has a plan for Kyler Murray. They're putting 5 up on the line. They have athletic pass rushers. They're going to put a lot of pressure on them. They don't have a ton of respect for the receivers for the Arizona Cardinals. I'm looking forward to it. Them without James Conner, that's a big loss. So I think that this is going to be a Seattle Seahawks win. But guess what, Mitchell? I'm going to knock on this wood because I don't want to be the jinx. And I'm not going to be the jinx, Mitchell. I'm not going to be part of that. But I feel really, really good, Mitchell. I might even wear a blue suit. I'm definitely wearing a blue suit.
You should, and you should also wear that hat, man. I know the Seattle fan base loves when you wear that Seattle Seahawk cap. Let's talk about your other team, Rich. The San Francisco 40.
Oh,
speaking
of hats.
Oh, boy.
I got to switch it up.
The comment section loves this, Richard. The infamous hat swap to the San Francisco 49er hat. They come up huge with a big-time win. I mean, when Mac Jones goes down in that, or he doesn't go down, but when that flag is thrown in the end zone against Dominic Puni, resulting in a safety, I mean, Calais Campbell would have likely had that sack, but for that hold, you got to be thinking, oh, snap. This one does not look good. 3 minutes left in the game. Arizona is up 2 and getting the ball back. The 49ers come back in dramatic fashion. Richard, I got 2 words for you, and that's Eddy Piñeiro. They bring this guy in, and he delivers in the clutch, capping a huge, huge comeback for the San Francisco 49ers with a walk-off field goal.
This was a very emotional game for the San Francisco 49ers faithful because you look up and Nicholas John Bosa is injured, and then Mikael Williams is injured, and you're like, oh my God, they're both questionable for the game. The D-line is shorthanded. It's hot. You got to chase Kyler Murray around all day. The offense is going 3 and out after 3 and out. The Cardinals are holding the ball. At one point, the time of possession was 12 minutes for the Arizona Cardinals and under 2 minutes for the San Francisco 49ers after going 3 and out on the first 2 drives. Woo, there was concern. Then guess what? They started to figure it out. They started to find Christian McCaffrey. They started to find Ricky Purcell. Mac Jones started to heat up. Who? Mac Jones. Who?
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones. Mitchell, 281-330-8004. Hit Mac Jones up on the low because Mac Jones was about to blow. 2-minute drive when they had to have it. They had to have it. And Mac Jones drove down the field. He hit Kendrick Bourne. He hit Sky Moore. He hit Jake Tunges. Everybody got a piece of it. Then a screen pass to Christian McCaffrey set up another nerve-wracking moment for the 49ers faithful. A kicker kicking a game-winning field goal. Mm-hmm. But this time, it's a different kicker. So there's probably a little bit more hope for the faithful. Eddy Piñeiro, a.k.a. Eddie Dinero, because he was money, kicks it straight down the middle. Game winner, game over. 16 points to 15 points. The San Francisco 49ers win that game. And I know, it just makes me think of what ifs, Mitchell. I hate to live in what ifs, but I think, what if this was Jake Moody in this situation and he had to kick for the win and he did what he's done the last few times? I don't think he makes it out the stadium, Mitchell, but we don't need to go down that road because it's not a what if, it's what is. And Eddy Piñeiro hit the game winner. He hit 3 field goals in the game, and that's what the 49ers needed from him to win that ball game. Obviously, we're concerned about the status of Nicholas John Bosa. Hopefully, it's not season-ending, but I just want to keep fingers crossed. I don't want to say anything else about it. Mac Jones got hobbled in this game, but he toughed it out. You got to give Kendrick Bourne a lot of credit. Coming back and making an impact in that 2-minute drill. I think they should go hurry up a little bit more, with this offense, this offensive line. It seems like that helped this offensive line stand up a little bit more, help Christian McCaffrey get involved a little bit more. They looked really efficient. The defense couldn't get their pressures in. So I think that's something Kyle Shanahan is going to look at, obviously, going forward. They got the Jacksonville Jaguars next week back in Levi Stadium. And I think that could be a really, really good game for the San Francisco 49ers offense to get going. Now, this Jacksonville Jaguars D-line is nothing to joke at, nothing to sneeze at, because they got a lot of pass rushers that can go. There's some issues in the secondary. I'm sure that Kyle's going to want to take advantage of. Offensively, they got a lot of playmakers. Obviously, Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, number 2 pick in the draft. But again, I feel like this San Francisco 49ers defense, even with Nicholas John Bosa potentially out another week, is up to the task. They've done a great job these first 3 games. I'm sure they're amongst the league leaders, or top 10 in just about every category defensively. They held the Arizona Cardinals to 5 of 15 on third down. They were able to get some critical stops, some crucial stops. Upton Stout, with maybe the greatest play of his career, with the stop on third down that forced a punt late in the game that gave the 49ers another chance to go down the field, and Mac Jones drive down the field for a game-winning field goal. I think they're going to take a deep breath, heal up, woosah, maybe wave some sage around the locker room, maybe wave some sage around the whole stadium and in the practice field. Maybe wave sage around the whole city. Everybody, how about this, faithful? Everybody grab some sage and light it up tonight, and just, we need to get the juju out of there. The juju got to change, because this is just, I don't know. This is a lot of bad luck with injuries, and something got to change. So that's my suggestion. It may not be the best suggestion in the world, but we got to do something. Mitchell?
Richard, I'll burn some sage here in Michigan for you guys as well, man, because you're right. You need it. But, I mean, kudos to Mac Jones, Mac Jones, delivering back-to-back big wins, man. And this is why it goes to show you, we've seen this turnover of quarterback after, given the opportunity to be a starter. Mac Jones is now a backup, the last couple of years, and given the opportunity, he delivers. And now he's going to have the opportunity to go up against his old team next week in the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are fresh off a big win against the Houston Texans. And I know you love some Trevor Lawrence, but let's talk about this game right now, man. The San Francisco 49ers have an opportunity to open the season 4-0, which is big time. I think this team, if they can stay healthy, prayers up for Nicholas John Bosa, like you said, but once they get Brock Purdy back and get Brandon Ayuk back, Ricky Pearsall's looking pretty darn good over there in his second year. This 49er team, they can be a competitor in the NFC. Let's talk about the Jags game, though. What are your expectations going into next week?
Well, let's not forget about George Kittle, the All-Pro.
There.
And let's give a lot of credit to All-Pro Fred. He played a phenomenal game. I mean, every time they needed to stop, every time he needed to show up, he did. D. Winters was also flying around the field. Deommodore Lenoir played a really good game back there. Yeah, it was a bit of a rough game for the young safeties, Pinnock and Siegel. They got to get that corrected. Obviously, it's always good learning when you get a win. They didn't lose the game. It wasn't any really debilitating plays that lost the game. Renardo Green had that, I don't know, that PI, that 33-yard PI that set up the Cardinals touchdown, but I just don't know about that play. I wasn't 100% sure about that, but they called it. But it was some good learning. It's always better to learn when you win than learning and feeling like you cost the team a win. But again, I think the job Kyle Shanahan is doing as a coach, the job Robert Saleh is doing as a coach of this defense, this very young defense, one of the best players in the National Football League, goes out and you hardly even notice. I mean, obviously, the pass rush wasn't as great as it has been. There was only 1 sack in the game by Bryce Huff right before the half ended. But they stopped the run. They got off the field when they needed to. They held them to 13 points technically in the ball game, and they won. And Kyle Shanahan did it without George Kittle, without a lot of the weapons that he's used to having, without his $30 million receiver and Brandon Ayuk. And he was still able to find a way to win with a backup quarterback. And I know we kind of forget that because we're talking about Mac Jones, who was a top 10 pick in the draft, but this is still a backup quarterback. And if a backup quarterback can come in and get you 2 wins during the season, that's huge. That's huge. And I think that's a testament to how well Mac Jones prepares. And again, Mac Jones was in Jacksonville. So there's some familiarity there with that defense and what they're going to bring. Obviously, new coaching staff, but with those players. And I'm not saying their offense looked a little bit better with Mac Jones at quarterback than they're looking right now with Trevor Lawrence, but I mean, that's the truth. That's the truth. Trevor Lawrence is going to have to show something, and this is a great game to figure it out and try to show it. But I think this 49ers defense is going to be up for the task. But Mitchell, now it's time to move on to the Dallas Cowboys. And Jerry, they're 1-2 and just got beat handily by the Bears. The Bears looked really good. I mean, you could see Ben Johnson getting back to his ways. He got past his old team. He took that beating like a man. And now he's like, all right, pressure's off. We're going to just let it hang, let it fly. Caleb Williams throws 4 touchdowns in the game, 19 of 28, 298 yards. Whew. I mean, what can you ask for more than that? Their rookie Burton had 3 catches for 101 yards and a touchdown. They just looked like they were having fun. Their defense was pressuring Dak Prescott. They had 3 interceptions in the fourth quarter alone. Dak was 31 of 40 for 251. They lost CeeDee Lamb. I'm not sure. He tried to run it off. He tried to play on it, but it seemed to be more of a major injury. He wasn't able to play on it. We're going to get more news on that. But 1-2, and again, I hate to keep bringing up Jerry Jones and all that because the players have to play. Their defense, their secondary looks disconnected. Eberflus looks like he's disconnected from reality and what he needs to be calling. I don't think he called a great game. I think this team, these DBs have played a lot of man coverage throughout their time, and all of a sudden they're not playing man coverage and they're putting them in zones. You're putting them in places that they're unfamiliar with. But, some of these plays are guys just getting beat straight up, and that is what it is. But when you lose one of the best pass rushers in football, and then you get very little pass rush, and everybody's like, well, pass rush is going to help the DBs cover. Yes, it does. Micah Parsons being on the field helps everybody. And I know last year they just weren't a good defense, but he still had 12 sacks. And so a guy who can get 12 sacks in a season, and he only played, I think he played, 12 games? 12 or 13 games? But he would have been a factor. You don't trade away a guy like that right before the season because you're literally building your defense with him in mind. You're building your roster with him in mind. So when ownership gets involved and says, hey, we don't want to pay him. Oh, man, he's offending us, and we're going to put our big boy pads on, and we're going to get our team better. We can get a couple first-round picks for him. First-round picks don't help you win games now. They don't. They don't help you win games now. You're paying your franchise quarterback. Everybody's saying, oh, well, he's doing this to get Archie Manning. How does that plan look now? How does it look? Now he's probably going to use the 2 picks to potentially get a great pass rusher, maybe a generational talent, maybe a guy who can get to the quarterback, who has the 4th most sacks of anybody in his first 4 years. Maybe you get a guy like that in the first round. Or maybe you just pay the guy who you had and not trade him away to an NFC contender and make them a better team and make your team worse. Now you're losing 31-14 to the Bears. Your high-paid receiver gets banged up. Your offensive line doesn't look great. Your defensive line doesn't look great. Your DBs are having a hard time. It's just not a recipe for success. And even the one win you had was a dogfight against the Giants. You won it in OT, and the Giants gave you all you can handle. So you could be sitting here at 0-3. And I guess you don't care if you're Jerry Jones. You thought, hey, we're closer to winning the Super Bowl now than we were with him. No, you're not. You're nowhere near a Super Bowl. You're not even near the playoffs. You're barely near football. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, if y'all are still defending this, I don't know what else it takes for y'all to see it. Y'all, I'm seeing fans still online talking about Micah Parsons wouldn't have made a difference. That just sounds like Hurt talking. Because that makes absolutely no sense.
It doesn't make any sense, Richard. When I watch the Dallas Cowboys, I see a team without an identity. Like you said, they're totally disconnected defensively. You don't know really what you're looking at offensively either. And like you said last week, they could have easily lost that game against New York, and they probably should have lost that game. This team, they look like they're in for a long season at 1-2. I do not see them being competitive. And like you said, what they gave up, in Micah Parsons to what they got, a couple first-round picks, and obviously Kenny Clark. You just made the Green Bay Packers one of the best teams in football. Those picks are going to be in the high 20s, if not the low 30s. And I just don't know what value you're going to receive in the long term from that, other than roster flexibility with additional cap room. This Cowboys team, like I said, is in for a long, long season. As far as the Chicago Bears go, I mean, this was a get off your back and rally type game for them after being absolutely obliterated in Detroit last week. You got to love to see it for Ben Johnson. Like, obviously, he's a Lions fan. I have a lot of respect for him and what he did here in Detroit. It's tough that he stayed in the division and obviously went to Chicago, but you still want the guy to have success because he's very, very talented in what he's doing. And we saw that today. And you see the Detroit identity carry over today when they were up 10 points and at the 4-yard line at 4th and goal, Tom Brady said, I'm more old school. I would kick this. But Ben Johnson said, screw it, I'm going for it. And ultimately, it resulted in a touchdown and a 17-point lead. That really closed the door on any hope that the Dallas Cowboys had in that game. So you got to love to see it. This was one of Caleb Williams' better games as a pro. This Bears team is very, very talented on both sides of the ball. We'll see if they can, make something happen beyond just this game against the lowly Dallas Cowboys. A matchup in the AFC that was really, really appealing is the Broncos against the LA Chargers. And it came down to the wire, Richard. 23-20, the Chargers rally and pull off a game-winning field goal with Cameron Dicker at the buzzer. And,
Dicker
the kicker. And, Justin Herbert had another pretty good game, 300 yards. And they got to love having Keenan Allen back. I mean, this guy is just so consistent and steady. A total rejuvenation with being back in L.A. for Keenan Allen. Let's talk about these Chargers, man. They're 3-0. They look like they're a true contender in the AFC. What are your thoughts on this LA Charger team?
Well, I got high hopes for him. I was really concerned in this game because it looked like the Broncos had their number. The Broncos defense gets 5 sacks in the game. Nick Bonito gets 2. John Franklin Myers gets 1. DJ Jones gets 1. And Jonathan Cooper gets 1. So 5 sacks in the game. This Chargers O-line was banged up. They lost their right guard. Obviously, they lost their left tackle, Rashawn Slater, before the season even started. Just paid him big-time money, an incredible player. And so you saw that loss, and you saw Justin Herbert under duress majority of this game, but Amarion Hampton, a guy who you were really high on, Mitchell, coming into this season, had 19 carries for 70 yards. And on the other side, in his a bit of a revenge game, J.K. Dobbins had 11 carries for 83 yards and a touchdown. And I think the plays were there for Bo Nix to make. I thought he missed on a couple plays that really could have turned this game on its head. I thought he missed on a couple to Sutton. I thought they had a chance for a few more big plays. I'm sure Sean Payton is going to look at this tape and kind of scratch his head and roll his eyes because there were moments there where they could have just blown this game open. But they didn't. Justin Herbert found a way. He threw for 300 yards on 28 of 47. He threw that TD and he had that interception off a tip pass. But Keenan Allen was really critical down the stretch. The veteran, the ageless wonder, Keenan Allen continues to get it done, and you can see why they brought him back. Just a calming presence on this offense, and they look really good. Obviously, they're in the driver's seat in the AFC West, and the Broncos had a chance to right there. These are the games you're going to look back in December and wish you had gotten. Because the game was there to be had for the Broncos. And if you want to take that next step and be a true contender, that like the Chargers, you found a way to win this game. This is a game last year. I don't know if they found a way to win, but that's what taking the next step is when you start to win these games that there's a struggle. You don't play as well. You get banged up and you just find a way to grit it out. And that's what the Chargers did. They ran the ball. They obviously lost Najee Harris, to what appeared to be an Achilles injury. Then Amarion Hampton gets in there and he takes on a heavier load, but he steps up and plays well. But you keep fighting and you keep persevering, and they're 3-0 and in a division that the Chiefs are struggling right now. They playing right now, but they're 0-2. And if they get to 0-3, a 3-game lead in a division is almost insurmountable. And it's a tough obviously, it's almost a 4-game lead at that point because the Chargers have the tiebreaker. So the Chargers just have to continue to do what they're doing, continue to fight. Their defense is incredible, and they played really well, but they gave up some plays this game, but they have been playing honestly, I think some of the best football in the National Football League this year, and that's saying a lot. They've been playing really fast, really aggressive. Obviously, without Khalil Mack, the defensive line was a little different. He'll be out a couple more weeks, I believe. But to find a way to win that game, that's huge for the LA Chargers and what they want to do in the AFC. All right, Mitchell, I'm not gonna make you work all day. I know you got things to do, places to be, people to see. I can handle the rest of these games. I'll let you go. Give you a shorter day today. I appreciate you, as always.
Richie Rich, always a pleasure.
Today's show is brought to you by our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet.
You know I love defense, Richard, but on Monday night, we might not see a whole lot of it. Week 3 closes with an absolute shootout in the making. Detroit at Baltimore. Check out these streaks from Hard Rock Bet Stats Hub.
Gibbs has recorded 30-plus receiving yards following a win in 5 straight games. And he has scored a TD in a game following a win 5 times in a row.
How about Lamar, though, Richard? He's rushed for 58 yards in 5 consecutive games in Week 3. And D-Hop has scored a touchdown in 4 games in a row versus the NFC opponent.
That's a lot of big-time players putting up big-time stats. And you can bet on all these streaks in the Hard Rock Bet app.
If you haven't tried your first bet on Hard Rock Bet, there's still time for you to get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Just place a $5 bet, and if it hits, you get not only your winnings, but $150 in extra bonus bets.
There's new promos every day. If you're listening to this later, just open the app and check out what you've got any day of the week. Check out the Hard Rock Bet app and make your first deposit. Man, this Eagles-Rams game was incredible. It seemed like it was all Rams. It seems like it was all Rams, and they had the Super Bowl champs figured out. But, of course, Jalen Hurts rallies the troops, starts going to all day, always open. A.J. Brown breaks the game open, runs all the way back, gets the lead. The defense shows up in a big way, blocks 2 field goals. They blocked 2 field goals to win this game. An incredible game by the Philadelphia defense, an incredible game of resiliency and adjustments. They made the adjustments. Obviously, they struggled early on, but they figured them out. I think the Rams just have a good game plan for the Eagles, and it's just one of those David and Goliath. I think we're going to see this matchup again in the playoffs. I hope we do, because these two teams have a great feel for one another. It almost felt like a divisional game the way these teams played. Jalen Hurts changed the way he played. He played a really good game throwing the football. They've been leaning on the run every single week, but this week he did it with his arms. You know, I think that's the makings of a great team. Is showing that you can win whatever way that you need to win, and that's what Super Bowl champions do. He was 21 of 32 for 226 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He was sacked 4 times. They lost Lane Johnson, the superstar right tackle, the all-pro, the all-world right tackle, early in the game, and they were able to overcome that. Saquon Barkley only averaged 2.6 a carry in this game, but Jalen Hurts picked up the slack. He had 40 yards rushing and a touchdown with his legs. He had 3 touchdowns with his arms. A.J. Brown, 6 receptions for 109 in the tug. Devontae Smith had a touchdown of his own. And that's what has to happen sometimes. You have to figure it out. Hey, we got to go through the air this week? Sure, that's the way we got to do it. They're finding ways to win. They found a way to win versus a very tough, very competitive Rams team. The Rams gave them everything they could handle, but they got to find a way to fix those special teams. I don't think I've ever seen a game end with a team blocking 2 field goals to win the game. Then Jordan Davis, the big fella, takes the return all the way to put the icing on the cake, to put the cherry on top. Another touchdown to make this game seem a little bit different than the score, a little the margin a little wider than what the game really was, obviously. But an incredible game, and I think that's going to be a preview of a playoff matchup that we get between these two teams. I can't wait to see it. The All-Pro Zach Bond had an interception in the game against Matt Stafford. He played solid, but again, they fell asleep at the wheel in the second half. Rams only scored 7 points after halftime. You can't have that in a game against the Super Bowl champs. Super Bowl champs scored 26 after halftime, 26 points after the half. So clearly they found the answers. I know people talked about people don't make halftime adjustments, and that's just 10 minutes. You don't do anything in 10 minutes. We've made halftime adjustments, and it appears the Eagles made halftime adjustments, scoring 26 points in the second half. That's halftime adjustments. I guess if you take it's 20 points if you take the Jordan Davis return out, but still, they made huge adjustments, found a way to be efficient, found a way to get going through the air after only scoring 7 points in the first half. That's what you got to do. In another game that I didn't understand, well, I kind of did understand, is because the Browns and the Packers played in Cleveland, and Jordan Love struggled. The Packers defense played really well early on. They really did a great job of holding this Joe Flacco and his Browns offense in check. They did a great job of keeping this Browns offense in check. But at the end of the day, and this is what I've said over and over again, I think Jordan Love is the wild card. He's either going to be the reason they get over the top and win the Super Bowl this year, or he's going to be the reason they go home early. There's no two ways about it. I know that Josh Jacobs is going to factor in, no question about it, but people will stack the box and make you beat them with Jordan Love. And can he get it done? Now, the Browns have a really talented, really aggressive defense, no doubt about it. He was sacked 5 times in this game. It was a really, really tough game for this Packers offensive line. You're dealing with Myles Garrett and the boys. You're dealing with a defense that gets after you. And that's what they did. He was sacked 5 times. You can't really have that. Josh Jacobs was held to 1.9 a carry. He had 16 carries for 30 yards. They ran the ball 31 times in this game for 2.6 yards. That's the way people are going to play the Green Bay Packers. They're going to stack the box and make you beat them with Jordan Love and show them that you can beat them with Jordan Love. He had some success early on. Matthew Golden finally got going with a big 34-yard reception when they were backed up, but that's not going to kill you. Again, I'm not a fan of this by committee offense. I'm not a fan of, oh, no, everybody eats. That's not – I just keep saying it. I know people want that to be a thing that really, gets it going, and that's the way – it's a reason why great receivers and great teams have had success that way. The Philadelphia Eagles have 2 guys that are really talented, and they went to the Super Bowl. A.J. Brown today shows the value of a true number 1 receiver. Hey, he took the game over. That's a big reason why they won this game. The Rams on the other side with Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, again, show why that's important. Obviously, they didn't win the game this time. The Cincinnati Bengals went to a Super Bowl. Jamar Chase riding the wave. The Minnesota Vikings, 14-3 last year. Justin Jefferson was the guy. And I think no matter what you say about, hey, we want to spread this up, there's a sense of rhythm to it too. There's a sense of 2 guys getting in a rhythm when you have a go-to guy, when you know who the play is designed for, and you can design things that even make them the decoy and pull the defense away and create other pockets and other openings in the defense. But when you don't, and you're just like, hey, we're just going to spread the ball around, that sounds good in principle and theory, but then you're just playing normal defense. You don't have to adjust to anything. You don't have to create new strategies, double this receiver, bracket this, cloud this guy. You don't have to do anything but run your defense in its structure as it's naturally presented. And you just have to prepare for the offense as they're presented. We just have to prepare for the concepts. We don't have to prepare for a guy that may go over and beyond what we're preparing for, a guy that we just can't one-on-one. We just can't single cover. We just can't run our normal structure of our defense, because they'll break it and they'll break this game open. And I think, again, you look at this game, and you got Matthew Golden with 4 catches on 4 targets. Josh Jacobs had 9 targets, but that's just a running back. They check it down to him a lot. Tucker Kraft had 4 targets. He had 3 catches. He just had a 100-yard game last week. Romeo Dobbs, he had 2 catches on 2 targets. Dontavian Wicks, 2 catches on 4 targets. John Fitzpatrick, 2 catches on 2 targets. I understand what you guys are saying. And then the interception is the thing that doomed this team. This Green Bay Packers defense is as good as anybody. They're as talented as anybody, and they kept this offense in check throughout this game. They sacked Flacco twice. They picked him off once. They didn't give up a touchdown to him. The only touchdown they gave up in this game was one that their offense, after an interception, set up at the 9-yard line with 3 minutes to go in the game, and they gave up a touchdown, and they lose the game. And now people will sit there and be like, man, this defense was supposed to win the game. That's a tough position for a defense to be in. You've played your butt off. You haven't even let them pretty much cross the 50. Like, they've got a one field goal in the game, and your offense sets them up with first and goal to go with 3 minutes to go in the game. That's a demoralizing play for a team, and that's the part that I'm afraid of for this team, that you could have a great defense. You could have a great defense that keeps you in the game, that turns things around, that gives you the ball back over and over and over and over again. But one huge turnover at an inopportune time loses you that game. Now, again, did the Green Bay Packers have a chance to win that game? Did Jordan Love drive them down the field? No question about it. There almost looked like a play where Josh Jacobs might have fumbled the ball, but they gave it back to the Green Bay Packers. They have a chance to kick it to win the game. The kick gets blocked. Again, I don't know why so many kicks are getting blocked today, but it's happening a lot. We saw 2 in the Rams-Eagles game. We saw 1 here. We saw 1 in the Jets and Buccaneers game that got returned for a touchdown. It's just a lot more than I remember happening, but the kick gets blocked. Now the Browns have a chance to go down the field, get 15 yards, and kick the game-winning field goal, and that is what they did. That's a disappointing loss because they played well enough to win, and that loss happens because of a late turnover. And I know people are like, you're just a hater. I'm not hating on this team. I think this team could be a Super Bowl caliber team, but you just have to look at the things that are holding them back, and that is an obvious example. We're in week 3 of the season where the quarterback makes a mistake with 3 minutes to go in the game, and they score the only touchdown they score in the game. Like, you can't look at that play and say, oh, man, that's somebody else's fault. That's nobody else's fault. Like, at some point, you got to take some kind of accountability there. The offensive line had a tough game. Running game had a tough game. Like, you're a big-time quarterback. You believe this guy's a top 10 guy, then you believe you can lean on him in those situations to win the game. You believe that, hey, we can win this by committee. We have a great receiving core, so we can do it by committee. Then what are we doing? And so, I just think we got to continue to watch it. But I think this defense is a Super Bowl caliber, championship caliber defense. I think the way they get over the top is they will go as high as Jordan Love can take them. That's my opinion. Another NFC North team that seems to be figuring out is the Minnesota Vikings, who scored their highest point total of the season in week 3. They scored 48 points in this ball game. The defense only gave up 10, and 7 of those were garbage time, just playing prevent defense. But 2 defensive touchdowns by Isaiah Rodgers, incredible plays. One of them was a pick six. One of them was a fumble recovery that he scored on. But there wasn't anything crazy that Carson Wentz did. He ran the offense. They took advantage of big plays that their defense made. They ran the ball well with Jordan Mason, 16 carries for 116 yards, 2 TDs on the day. Carson Wentz, 14 of 20, 173, and 2 touchdowns. Just played solid football. Didn't turn the ball over. That's winning football. You let your defense make big plays. They're playing against a young quarterback in Jake Browning, obviously not against Joe Burrow because he's out for 3 months with the injury. But this is the team that looked like they won 14. This is the team that won 14 games last year with Sam Darnold. They can do it. And that was the concern I had with playing McCarthy, is because you already have a team that can win now. You just need solid play out of your quarterback. You don't need superstar level play, but you don't need below average play. But with a young guy, you're going through the learning curve. You're going through the ups and downs of him figuring it out, which would be fine on a developing team, not a team that won 14 games. And on a team that won 14 games, this is what you need. Just veteran quarterback play. Hey, eat the ball when you need to eat it, hand it off when you need to hand it off, read it, get us to the right play, get the ball to the right guy. Justin Jefferson had 5 catches for 75 yards. He had 7 targets. They spread the ball pretty evenly. TJ Hawkinson had a touchdown in the game. Josh Oliver had a touchdown in the game, but he just played a solid game. He did what he was supposed to do. I'm sure they'll have tougher games than this, but to score that many points in the National Football League is tough to do. And this just felt like a well-rounded win. It felt the same way a lot of those wins felt last year. You had Brian Flores with that aggressive attacking defense, creating chaos. You had the offense taking advantage of their opportunities. That's winning football. I can't be mad at that. I expect that to continue for this team. Then again, on the other side, in the AFC South, you have the Colts versus the Titans. And again, Indiana Jones, a.k.a. Danny Dimes, continues to shine. 228 yards passing on 8 of 25, 1 touchdown. Jonathan Taylor, welcome back, Jonathan Taylor. I'm so happy. There were a couple years there, where he struggled. He was banged up. The team just wasn't very good, and he's just continuing to show who he is, what he is. He was one of the elite backs in the National Football League early on, and he shows that he still is. 102 yards on 17 carries, 3 touchdowns in the game. Their defense was playing really well early on, gave up some plays late in this game to the Titans. But they had 4 sacks in the game. Things are working well for Shane Steichen in this Colts team. He has to be up there in the runnings, 3-0 for Coach of the Year. And you got to give them a lot of credit for the way they're playing. Cam Ward, young guy, still figuring it out, 23 of 38. He had a touchdown, but he did throw a interception in the game to Kenny Moore. But you expect that from a young guy. We did not expect this kind of start from the Indianapolis Colts, and we did not expect this kind of play from Daniel Jones. So you have to give credit where it's due. Daniel Jones is playing really good football, and they're calling really good plays for him. Just seems like a hand-in-glove fit, and you love to see a guy just find an opportunity, find a situation where he can shine and showcase his abilities, and that's what's happening. Indiana Jones seems to be the real deal, and I know people are saying, oh, it's just the Titans. This Titans defense has been playing really good football. They were one of the top defenses in the league last year. I think they're still going to be a really good defense. They're just struggling against an offense that is playing well. I mean, they're playing well. You see Pittman, 73 yards on 6 catches and a tug. Alec Pierce had some big-time catches down the field. I think this Indianapolis Colts team is going to win the AFC South and going to cause problems for somebody in the playoffs. I love to see it. I love to see it. It just seems like Daniel Jones is playing with a different confidence level, and as his confidence grows, the confidence of this team continues to grow, and it's crazy what confidence can do in the National Football League. It can really, really cause guys to play above what folks think they're capable of because it's belief, it's faith. It's fun to see. It's cool to see. And the Texans are off to a 0-3 start. C.J. Stroud is struggling in a big way. The lowest scoring offense in the National Football League had a chance to win today. Again, a late turnover by Nico Collins kind of doomed that game, but I just can't figure out, it looks like a slump for C.J. Stroud right now. He can't figure it out. I didn't understand why they traded Laramie Tunsil to the Washington Commanders, but you see that loss wearing its ugly head. They're giving up sacks. They're giving up a lot of pressure. C.J. Stroud has a lot of pressure on him each and every down. On the other side, the Commanders play a great game, beat the Raiders comfortably. Laramie Tunsil looks like he's in a good spot after leaving Houston. I just don't understand why you make that move. Offensive linemen are too hard to come by, especially left tackles, and maybe there's more to the story than meets the eye. The Texans needed cap relief, but these are the things you trade off when you trade a left tackle in the National Football League. You give up something that affects your offense in a greater way than I think most people understand, and that's what's happening right now. Whew. Mitchell, you thought you were gone, but we had to bring you back to talk about your Detroit Lions.
Richard, I'm excited. I mean, every Sunday I get so stoked to watch the Detroit Lions and obviously keep tabs on your teams too. But, they don't play today. They don't play Sunday. They play Monday Night Football in prime time on the road against the Baltimore Ravens. And this is going to be a very, very difficult matchup. The last time Detroit was in Baltimore, it wasn't the best showing. They got beat up pretty good. You know, the expectations around Detroit going into this game, you know, obviously they take the road loss against the Green Bay Packers, and Detroit is shook, right? There is fear when you go into Ford Field at week 2 against the Chicago Bears. And then all of a sudden, after beating the Chicago Bears, what was 52-21, they're the best team in the world again here in Detroit. So now we get to see who they really are as they go to Baltimore. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and the rest of the bunch down in Baltimore on Monday Night Football. Richard, what are your expectations of this game? I admittedly am very biased, but I also am very nervous going into this game, seeing what happened a couple years ago. What are your thoughts? A more pragmatic view, objective view from Richard Sherman.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous, Mitchell. We're not going to go through lose yourself again, but I am a little nervous because Lamar Jackson just doesn't lose to the NFC. That's the first and foremost. I don't know why. It's always weird. I thought we had him one year, and he found a way to get out that game with a win, especially at home. And then he got Derrick Henry. And the run defense for the Detroit Lions, it's been solid, but it hasn't played Derrick Henry. Now, the thing that gives me some promise is that the Baltimore secondary hasn't necessarily been phenomenal against the pass. So I think that if they can give Jared Goff some time, he could potentially have some success. But that interior offensive line, that's a lot different than it was last year, has to deal with Justin Madubuike or Nnamdi Madubuike. And he's an all-pro player, a guy that can be really disruptive. This defensive line for the Baltimore Ravens can be really disruptive and create some issues for Jared Goff. So if they can give him time and create some lanes for Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery, then I feel a lot better. But I need them to possess the ball in this game because the Ravens are going to possess the ball. They're going to run the ball. They're going to play keep away as much as they can. And if you let them score quick and you can't score quick, that's going to be an issue. So I'm interested to see the strategy and how this game starts off because that'll tell the tale, especially early on. Can the Detroit Lions stop the run first off? And then obviously Lamar Jackson is a beast in himself, and he can pass the football. I'm not saying, hey, stopping the run stops the offense, but you're at least giving yourselves a chance, and then you got to find a way to get Lamar out of rhythm and out of his comfort zone, which is, almost impossible to do.
It is tough to do. Fortunately for the Lions, Nnamdi Madubuike has been ruled out for tomorrow's game. So that's a big deal, Rich. It was just announced a little bit ago. He's ruled out. So, that gives this Detroit Lions run game one less guy to worry about, which is huge. But like you said, on the other side of the ball, dealing with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, the way the Detroit Lions are going to win this game, they got to force turnovers. Like, bottom line, I know Lamar Jackson does not turn the ball over often, but they're going to have to flip the field and get turnovers and take advantage of opportunities when they can. Detroit Lions, they want to win the Super Bowl, like every other team, but I think Detroit's it's firmly in that mix. And if they want to be viewed, by the rest of the world, by Richard Sherman as a true Super Bowl contender, then they've got to go out and win games like this. We'll see what happens. My hopes are high, but I'm going to be realistic here, Richard. It's going to be a dogfight.
Yes, it is. And they can watch that Buffalo Bills tape, at least the second half, to get some confidence because they were able to have some success, some real success throughout the game. Josh Allen threw for 394 in that game, only 2 touchdowns, was only sacked once. Obviously, his mobility is a lot different than Jared Goff, but there are holes in that defense to be found. Obviously, they play better against the Browns the next week, but I think the Detroit Lions are better than the Browns offensively, no question about that. So I think there's some success to be had. I think they'll be able to draw some things up. Jameson Williams being a factor in this game. I think they take some deep shots with him. Your boy Tesla is going to factor into this game. I think it's time for your guy Sam Laporta to have a big game. That's where you got to attack this defense. The tight ends have to have some success.
No question about it, Richard. We'll be tuning in tomorrow to see what happens. It's always a pleasure. We appreciate you guys joining us every week. Richard, I will let you sign us off.
We always appreciate you guys, like Mitchell said, joining us every single week. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we sure do appreciate it. For those new subscribers, those new people that are following us, please hit that sub button if you're new and tell your friends about us. We'll see you next time.